I think there's a deep truth that really no one will tell you online about why you're still stuck in the same position, not really liking the position that you are in, even though you work hard for yourself. And you just have this ambition because you know you want to build a life of freedom. You know you want to overcome this overwhelmed feeling that you have for yourself mentally, because it's getting to a point where it's affecting more than your health. It's affecting your energy and your mental energy, and your perspective on how you see this entire world has completely changed. And now your nervous system is fully running on fear. And I used to be in your exact same position. That was literally me. You know, a couple of years ago, one anxiety attack changed how I saw this entire world. And that anxiety attack led to my nervous system being run on fear 24/7. And my perspective on every single thing in this world was really negative. And it didn't make me, want to really do anything. I was scared to leave the house because my derealization from anxiety got so bad. I didn't even want to travel, and that sucked because I wanted to build my dream life. I wanted to travel more. I wanted to see this world, but my perspective and my emotional state was just fully twisted because my nervous system was fully just unaligned with the person I wanted to be in this world, all because of my anxiety. It literally just started all because of my anxiety. So, I feel like one of the most important things to actually changing from the position that you are in right now, obviously, is understanding why you're in this position and the loop that you're in. And I don't hear anyone talking about this online. So I am literally about to explain the exact position that you're in right now in depth, so you could finally change your life. Take this information and implement it so you can live a life of freedom, because during that time when I was so mentally stuck, I couldn't even build a routine for myself. I couldn't even create a healthy life or live a life of freedom, like I mentioned. The only thing that I could really do, and the only time where I felt normal, was when I was working my job, because my brain would always have to stay alert to, operating under someone else's system, because my boss was controlling my life at the time and that routine. So I would, follow rules, go to my job, my brain would stay alert. I operated under someone else's system, but I couldn't even build my own system or routine for myself in my personal life because my negative thoughts were controlling everything. And that just led me stuck. I was literally stuck for years, a slave to my job. I wanted to, create like a business for myself so I could feel a sense of freedom and happiness for once. And it took me so long to understand how to rewire my mind and my entire identity. But I'm telling you right now, when I learned how, my entire life changed. So I'm literally going to break this down in the most valuable way possible. Because I had a passion to build a business, but again, I literally couldn't at the time because my negative thoughts were controlling everything. You need to understand that the routine that you want to create for yourself that will help you change your entire life needs a foundation of discipline. And the discipline in your life is not created by random motivation. And I made the mistake of waiting for random motivation. Oh, when am I going to get motivation so I could build a business, create a healthier lifestyle, finally, have the motivation to take action to help me overcome my anxiety? When is this random motivation going to come? It never came. The discipline that you create for yourself is built up of thoughts that you choose to believe every single day. Think of it. If you wake up and you believe your negative thoughts right away, this is the loop that happens. If you believe your negative thoughts, you shift your emotional state. And your emotional state dictates how you feel, and how you feel dictates what you do. And what you do compounds into your reality. So seriously, once you recognize that cycle and you understand that your discipline that you create is created with thoughts that you choose to give power to every single day, that's when you can consciously take back control and understand that you're the one who's in full control for if you give your negative thoughts power or not. And when you can consciously give power to certain thoughts in your life that influence your life to be more positive and better, that's when your entire life changes. That's when you can understand the first little mental loop that you're in. And that right there changed my life, but there's a lot more that goes into it. But seriously, just aligning yourself mentally with who you want to be in this world and understanding that psychological loop was a game changer. Now also, you can't be surprised if when you're first starting to change your life and you want to build a better life for yourself, you always have subconscious negative thoughts and you always have a lot of fear and, thoughts in your head telling you that you can't do something. Because here's the thing again, our brain works in a very mysterious way. If you have quit on yourself before, there's past evidence of that happening, then that's going to be brought back up in your subconscious identity when you're first starting to change your life. So you need to build back self-trust, because a loop that I used to fall into is when I was first starting to change my life and trying to overcome my anxiety, I would always feel a lot of fear when implementing new habits in my life. I would feel a lot of just anxiety, even more anxiety, implementing habits in my life, because my mind kept telling myself that I couldn't do it. And that's because I just had so much proof and evidence in the past of me quitting on myself. But I didn't understand that that was normal. It's totally normal, to have thoughts and fear when trying to change your life if you have quit on yourself in the past. Again, I'll say that. But what I did is I thought that that wasn't normal, so I fell into a victim mindset. And I would be like, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel fear? Why do I feel doubt? I should feel perfect. And then I would just quit on myself again. And guess what? Once I quit on myself again, that's more proof and more evidence. I was just reinforcing the life that I hated and the identity that was keeping me stuck, all because I fell into a victim mindset. And I didn't understand how to snap out of that and actually align myself mentally with who I wanted to be in this world. Literally, it all starts in your mind. And again, never put pressure on yourself to be perfect. Something I'll also say is you never want to put pressure on yourself to be perfect. You never want to live up to an unrealistic expectation, because if you quit on yourself after that, then that's more proof and more evidence that you're failing. And again, I'm not trying to say that you should never fail and never make mistakes. We're human beings, and that's totally fine. I want to actually, detach your brain from all this fakeness on social media. I want to show you guys, I'm not using no professional mic. I'm literally at my desk just speaking from the heart, because I don't want to be someone I'm not. I just want to share the most amount of value I can share, because I went through a really hard time, and I know I am here to help you specifically fully change your life and give away all this value. So back to what I was saying. Don't put an expectation on yourself to be perfect. Just focus on becoming 1% better every single day. Understand that your thoughts control your entire life, and your perspective on everything dictates how you see this world, and how you see this world will dictate your emotional state. And your emotional state, again, is literally the foundation to how you feel, and how you feel dictates what you do. It's all just a cycle that you really have to understand to actually help you rebuild your subconscious mind to align yourself with who you want to be in this world, so you could rebuild a new identity. Something I'll also say is your perspective on everything dictates literally your life quality. It literally does. And once I reframed failures and mistakes as learning lessons, that's when I could literally subconsciously find proof and evidence for why in the failures and the mistakes there is a learning lesson in everything. I seriously told myself I'm gonna remove mistakes and failures, those two words, from my vocabulary, and I'm literally going to reframe everything as a learning lesson. And now my mind finds proof and evidence for it. For a heartbreak, what's the learning lesson out of that? For going through a hard time mentally, what's the learning lesson? If friends leave you, what's the learning lesson? It happens for a reason, and what's the learning lesson? If I'm starting a business and I'm working hard and I make a little mistake or a failure, I fail, what's the learning lesson? There's always, always, always a lesson out of that. And your subconscious mind will follow what you say. You'll always find proof and evidence for the vocabulary in your wording. You will always find proof and evidence for what you frame something as. If you look for the mistakes and everything and you think you're such a failure, you're gonna find proof in that. And your identity is gonna be reinforced through proof and evidence of why you're a failure. But if you say, everything happens for a reason, every hard time, everything that I'm going through is a learning lesson. I can learn from it and I can improve. And every single day, I'm actually taking data and information to get 1% better every single day out of these hard times. Your brain is going to find proof of that. And then that proof is going to lead to more data and information in your mind to help you in your life, so you could fully better yourself. And you could just be on this path of becoming 1% better every single day, just because your mind is following what you say and how you frame everything and what your perspective is. It all goes back to your perspective. And literally, it just all goes back to understanding that your mind controls your entire life. And this is why you should also never suppress an emotion that you're feeling. I see this with so many clients that I've worked with, and so many people, like myself, actually. I'll talk about myself. In the past, I would always play the victim for me feeling sad or me feeling anxious about my life, when I didn't understand that emotions are not identity, they're just signals. So you really have to ask yourself the question. Like, here's an example. If you're feeling super anxious about changing your life, maybe that anxiety is tied to so much evidence of you quitting on yourself in the past. So you just need to take that emotion as a signal, understand why you feel that certain way, work through it, build more proof and evidence so that anxiety can go away. Same thing goes for other emotions. I mean, anxiety isn't like an emotion, but you get what I'm saying. Sadness. If you feel sad and you're like, man, I'm feeling so sad in life lately. Instead of suppressing that, why do you feel sad? Okay, maybe you feel sad because you've let yourself down so much and you've just not changed from the position that you are in right now. Okay, so we feel sadness because we haven't changed. Now, why aren't we changing? Let's do that deep work. Okay, we're not changing because our mind is always keeping us stuck with anxiety. Okay, so here's what we need to do. We need to rewrite our anxiety, rewire our mind to get over that anxiety so we can work on ourselves so that sadness will go away. That's exactly what you have to do. Emotions are always signals. If you suppress what you're feeling, you steal the growth that's meant to come from it. And that's something that I live by, always. And I know I'm kind of just ranting about how rewiring my mind and overcoming my anxiety and internally aligning myself with who I wanted to be in this world was like the best thing ever. But I look, you just also want to say, I'm living proof that you can fully change your life. And if you never learn how to take control of your mind, it could really take you down a really deep and dark hole. And I know that because I used to be there. I used to suppress what I was feeling. I would always just try to, escape from my mind because I didn't know why I was feeling a certain way. I was like, why do I feel like I'm living life in third person because my anxiety is so bad, even though I'm working hard for myself, even though all the tutorials and information is out there on how to change my life, I just couldn't seem to stay consistent. And it just led me down a really dark time mentally, like seriously, really dark time. And again, I want to be living proof. I used to be scared to leave my house, and now I moved to like my dream apartment. I have an amazing view outside. That's not here to flex, but that's me here to say that rewiring your mind changes everything. Like, think of if you never learn how to take control of your life and your mind, and you're always just emotionally relying on other people. You have to keep relationship hopping because you can't find that peace and fulfillment within yourself. So you literally just have to be in relationships 24/7. Think of if you want to achieve more goals. Think of if your future kids want you to do something and, they're looking at another man for inspiration because you just are emotionally twisted and you turn into this like psycho. Like, I'm not trying to talk about that, but it's serious because if you never learn just how to build a stable foundation of self-trust, confidence, and overall how to rewire your mind to build the strongest identity that you can build, it could really lead to a really dark time. You have to rely on other people. You have to constantly scroll on your phone. You can't sit and focus and work hard because your brain is always just needing the next best thing because your dopamine is so fried. It's just like, you need to come to the realization that you're not just a man, you're a future leader and a future husband. And having a stable foundation as a man and building freedom with your job on top of your anxiety, never controlling your life again, will make you stand out from 99.9% of people. Feeling present and understanding that everything happens for a reason. Having your emotions under control so you never need to suppress anything again. And you never have to escape your own reality. That feeling is genuinely the best. Because so many people rely on substances. So many people rely on other people. So many people don't know how to take control and actually build a stable foundation. So again, I'm gonna go more in depth. I'm gonna hop on my computer and give you guys a full slideshow, the full blueprint to rewire your mind, overcome your anxiety, and build a life of freedom mentally. And to actually have you feel freedom in your life for once, so your mind can stop controlling all your decisions. But I just wanted to say, one anxiety attack a couple years ago changed my entire life, made my nervous system run on fear. I was constantly thinking of every good action item as a bad thing because my anxiety was thinking of the worst case scenario. So I didn't even want to start to improve my life. And that led me to be stuck, unhealthy, and my anxiety was taking over so bad. It felt like I was living in third person and I literally felt depressed, to now fully changing my life. And I genuinely believe, again, I'll say this again, I want to implement this in your guys' brain. Every single thing happens for a reason. I'm here to spread a message. And yeah, let's just get into it because I want to be real. I want to be authentic. I want to give you guys all the value you can get so we can actually change your life. So let's go. I'll see you guys on my computer. All right, so we are on my computer. Now I'm going to break down the information that literally no one will tell you. Seriously, I did not hear any of this information online back when I was struggling with deep anxiety. So I really want to have you understand why your brain is in this loop of always reinforcing the life that you hate, why you can't escape, why you have anxiety, even though you work hard for yourself. I want to show you guys as well. The photo to the left is what I looked like physically when I was dealing with anxiety in the past. A couple of years ago, that's what I looked like. I just want to show you guys like how much of a byproduct your physical appearance can be to your identity once you actually make consistency and discipline become a byproduct from rewiring your mind and consciously aligning yourself mentally with who you want to be in this world. The photo to the right is a photo at a local gym now. I just moved 3,000 miles away from my hometown. Again, I want to literally put that in your guys' brain. When I was dealing with anxiety, I was scared to leave the house because I just felt like, something was going to happen to me. I was always thinking of the worst case scenario. I was always having a perspective on this world that was so bad that I felt trapped and I couldn't live a life of freedom. And now I just moved 3,000 miles away, alone, away from family. I still love my family, of course. I visit them all the time, but I just wanted to take that risk. And I want to show you guys what is actually possible when you rewire your mind. So seriously, sit back, take out a piece of paper and a pen and seriously implement this information, because I'm telling you right now, I'm giving away everything that I teach for my coaching just for free, because I actually care about changing your guys' lives and I want to be living proof that you can change. So firstly, we're going to talk about the importance of rewiring your mind through emotional control. I know I kind of talked about this in the intro, but I really just wanted to get a lot deeper with this. When you understand that emotions are not identity, they are just signals for you to look at what's really happening on the back end, that's when you can actually change your life. I'm telling you right now, processing my emotions and understanding why I felt a certain way was how I broke through the psychological loops in my brain to have me overcome anxiety. Because seriously, okay, let's break this down example-wise as well. If you feel sad and you keep suppressing your sadness and you're like, I don't know why I feel sad. I'm just going to put pressure on myself to try to be perfect and try to change my life and get myself out of this anxiety. I just feel sad. I don't know what to do. If you keep suppressing your emotions, you steal the growth that's meant to come from it. Because if you break it down, that sadness that you're feeling could be there because you're maybe sad for a certain reason. Now, if you dig into the reason, okay, maybe I'm sad because I keep quitting on myself and I'm not where I want to be in my life. Okay, wait. I'm sad because of that. Now, why am I not where I want to be in my life? Okay, I've noticed recently that it's because of my anxiety. My anxiety is keeping me stuck. So what do I have to do to overcome my anxiety? X, Y, and Z. Boom, I'm going to take action on that. That's just an example right there. But seriously, we just figured that information out, as an example, of course, all from just identifying what this emotion is trying to tell you. And I think a lot of people don't understand this, that emotions, stop framing it as your identity. Stop saying, I was just this guy, born anxious, born sad. What if your anxiety is just tied to you not having self-trust in yourself? What if your anxiety is always just tied to you not being emotionally stable, so you actually have to take it as a learning lesson to learn information that will help you in your life so you can implement certain action items to change your identity, rewire your mind, to have you be more emotionally controlled so you don't feel anxious about your life anymore? If you feel a lot of anger, maybe that anger is because you just don't know how to change your life and you're just, you keep quitting on yourself. But instead of suppressing that anger, you're like, okay, I feel this anger. I'm angry that I can't change my life. Why can't I change my life? Then you can analyze and do such deep inner work for why you can't change. You can understand your patterns, learn certain information, and actually help you improve 1% better every single day. And then when you improve, you'll literally give your subconscious mind evidence that you're winning because you're working through your shit. And then your subconscious mind will be rewired because you're actually stacking up proof and evidence that you can stick to stuff, all because you identified certain emotions and you did the deep inner work for them instead of suppressing them. I'll say it again. Avoiding emotions literally turn into self-sabotage, because if you never just sit with your emotions and you always suppress what you're feeling, you're going to victimize yourself for why you feel a certain way. And this is something that I really fell down. I would always victimize myself. Why do I feel sad? Why do I feel angry? Maybe I was born this way. I'm just not going to start to change my life. So boom, quit on myself right there. And me quitting on myself actually made me stack up more proof and more evidence that I was a quote unquote failure. because I have more proof that I'm failing. So it just reinforced my identity for years, all because I was suppressing what I felt instead of understanding that I can learn from what I feel. And if I suppress what I feel, I steal the growth that's meant to come from it. Understand that. Seriously, stand out from 99.9% of men by understanding that emotions are not identity. They are just signals. So again, if you feel sad in your life, if you feel angry, if you feel anxious, stop attaching it and framing it as your identity. Just say, okay, this is a signal. Why do I feel a certain way? And you can analyze and learn data and information for why you feel a certain way. Seriously. And again, I don't want you to think that when you feel sad, there's always a reason, because sometimes you're just going to feel a little off mentally. I always have those days. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I wake up and I feel a little off mentally, and I can't really solve the true reason for why I feel off. So I just understand that that's part of life. So I want to embrace that in your mindset as well. Sometimes you're just going to feel like shit and there's really nothing that you can do about it. But having that mindset will make you not play the victim, and that will make you not fall into a deep rabbit hole of just, playing the victim and quitting on yourself again, because you understand that sometimes you're not just going to feel that good, and it's okay. So really understand that. And yeah, that'll really help you. And also something I want to talk about that really helps you build emotional control is adding self-selected hard action items in your routine every once in a while for you to do to build that emotional control. So when non-selected hard times come in your life, you feel 10 times more controlled over your entire life. Because here's the thing, I'll break it down. What I mean by this. If I was to tell myself I'm going to go on a 6-mile run, I probably would feel a level of emotions that I've never felt. Maybe I'm a little anxious, or maybe I'm scared to go on this run. But when I accomplish it and I get something done, a self-selected hard action, then if a hard time comes my way in a couple weeks, in a couple days, with anxiety that's living up to the level of me maybe doing like a 6-mile run, and it matches that, I'm used to feeling that level of anxiety or fear because I'm used to doing self-selected action items that bring those emotions. So I'm going to feel 10 times more in control when non-selected hard times come my way. That's a great way to build emotional control that really no one talks about. So I challenge myself to do a lot of work on my business when I don't feel like it, when I just feel like relaxing. Because sometimes when you feel like relaxing and a hard time comes your way, you'll know how to handle it because you know the emotions and it matches each other. Or, I'll go in the cold plunge for 3 minutes to challenge my brain to do something that I don't want to do. So when a hard time comes my way, obviously I don't want to go through this, whatever hard time I'm going through, but my brain will handle it so much better. I hope you guys understand that, but it's a concept that really helped me to build emotional control. So you're not just living on autopilot, reacting to everything and shifting your emotional state because all these external circumstances control your internal emotions. No, that's not going to happen anymore. You're the dictator of your life. And when you can actually build an emotional control level that lives up to the man that you want to be in life, nothing can really stop you. Even the hard times, that you're not going to frame them as really hard times or mistakes. You frame them as a learning lesson, because everything is a learning lesson. And then your subconscious mind will find proof and evidence for why it's a learning lesson. Just like with emotions, you're not framing them as, sadness and me failing and me feeling anxious is a bad thing. You're framing them as a signal. And this is what I did that really helped me change. When you frame stuff as just signals and learning lessons, then you can do the work to figure out why you feel a certain way. Again, if you're sad because you always quit on yourself in the past, then find out why you're quitting on yourself. And then once you fix that, your sadness will go away. Instead of suppressing your emotions and then they just pop up every single time you try to change your life, and then you can never change because your nervous system keeps running this cycle of just emotions coming your way because you're never learning how to deal with them. Figure it out. Figure out why you feel a certain way so they can go away. So you could actually feel more in control and have clarity. You will have clarity when you figure out why you're feeling a certain way, and you actually build emotional control so you feel like nothing can stop you. Again, we're not here to be perfect. We're here to be 1% better every single day. And even on the days where you have the setbacks and you have, still hard times that you're going through your self-improvement journey, understand that it's still a win because every single thing is a learning lesson. All that you have to do is just have the right mindset with everything and understand that you are becoming 1% better every single day, no matter what. Because you're just taking action, you're trying, And seriously, you're becoming 1% better every single day. I want to implement that in your brain. Reframe how you see everything. Your perspective controls your entire life, and your thoughts dictate your life quality as well, the ones you choose to give power to. So I wanted to do a little analyzing stage for the subconscious rewiring. What really helps me to get clarity, and what helped me in the past when I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, is just writing down the main thoughts that I noticed that were keeping me stuck. Sometimes you're going to just have recurring thoughts in your head that just keep popping up. Whenever you try to change your life, you keep having these negative thoughts, these negative beliefs that stop you from actually taking action to change. So again, it's the same thing with emotions. When you understand that emotions are just signals, and you do the work for why you feel a certain emotion, and then you solve that, you can do the exact same thing with your negative thoughts. If you have, as an example, negative thoughts or negative beliefs about, oh, I can't change my life because I was born anxious. I can't change because I was born without motivation. Write it down. And under these, try to find proof. Where's the proof with that? If you think that you were this guy born anxious, write it down. And then where's the proof? Like, were you a guy born anxious, or is that just a story that your subconscious mind is telling you that you need to rewrite so you could align your identity with who you want to become? Because you weren't a guy just born anxious. You can fully rewrite that story because you are the controller of your entire reality. And once you understand that, you could rewrite all these negative thoughts that you're having. And you could detach yourself from believing, oh, because a negative thought I used to have, like a really recurring one, was whenever I used to go out in public, I would think that something bad would happen to me. And you know that feeling, how like hard that is? Because I was working hard for myself, but I couldn't even like go to dinner with my parents or my friends or have a good time and go to like a party when I was in high school back then, because I thought something bad would happen to me. Where was the proof? There's no proof. There was no proof ever that something bad would happen to me. That was just a story I was telling myself, and I was creating a certain emotional state based off of this story, and then I felt a certain way based off of me telling myself this story that it was going to happen, something bad was going to happen to me, and then I didn't do anything. So understand that you could have negative thoughts, negative beliefs, and overall made up stories in your head about something that make your nervous system run on fear, and your emotional state could be completely shifted, and now you feel like shit, and your perspective on this world is horrible, but it's nothing that's happening in front of you. It's all from your mind. So when you understand that you could consciously take back control and rewrite these stories that you're telling yourself about, oh, I was born lazy, born a certain way, this is going to happen to me, X, Y, and Z, then your nervous system starts to calm down because you're present. Literally, look at what's in front of you. I know it sounds dumb, but like if you're watching this video right now on YouTube, you're watching it on YouTube right now. Maybe you're on the couch. Maybe you're driving and you have this on, kind of listening to it podcast style. The road's in front of you. The couch is in front of you. Maybe your pets are in front of you. There's no proof or evidence that, negativity is around you right now. It's all in your mind. And you're creating an emotional baseline that's ran on fear, that makes your nervous system so amped up to the point where you're like almost shaking maybe, because that's how I used to be, just by believing stories in your head. It's not real. So seriously, that helped me so much, and I really, 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 really hope that can help you as well. So just be honest with yourself. When you're honest, remove your ego and just be honest. What are the main thoughts, negative thoughts, scenarios in my head that I keep replaying that are just making me so anxious? Be honest. Write them all down. Pick 3 to 5 main ones, because again, structure is everything. I don't want you to be like, oh, you have to write down every single thought that crosses through your mind every single day, because maybe you won't want to do that. And then that stops you from you actually analyzing the data that will help you change your life. Just do 3 to 5. 3 to 5 main ones. Thoughts, negative beliefs, whatever. And break the cycle. Rewire the patterns in your mind and understand that most of them are just lies. Probably 100% of your thoughts, your negative thoughts and negative beliefs, are lies. And you could rewrite that story, because you can. Even if you have a story of, oh, I can't change my life because I always tend to quit on myself. Maybe that's right, because you do always quit on yourself. But guess what? You can rewrite that once you stack up proof. So even if there's a little proof, you can still rewrite it. And I want you to know that. And again, you won't be perfect. So when negative thoughts and negative thought patterns come back up, don't play the victim and you're like, oh, well, I did analyzing before and they're still here. Don't play the victim. Just consciously replace them with empowering thoughts that push you forward. Seriously, that's all you have to do. If you think that, you have this if you have this, I'll say it like this. If you have this negative thought that you wrote down that was in your 3 to 5 main ones, that you're such a failure because you always quit on yourself. And then maybe you did the deep work to build a little routine for yourself so you could stack up self-trust, so you could break that belief because you're actually, rewriting a new identity by sticking to stuff. And then one night when you're out and about, you have that thought pop back up of, oh my God, I'm a failure. Instead of just believing that again, just be like, okay, wait, no, I'm not. What are some wins I got done? Okay, I went to the gym this morning. If you did, I made my bed. I did this. Every single day, we're constantly improving. It's just about how you frame it in your brain. When you can attach your small wins to your mind, then your subconscious mind will follow, and you'll actually find the proof and evidence for you winning, because you are. So seriously, I hope you guys get that. Again, we're going to go through it. Just write down your recurring negative thoughts, 3 to 5 main ones, just like emotions. Understand that these thought patterns and these emotions that you are having are not your identity. They're all just signals tied to our old identity, and we just need to rewrite them. It's not our identity. I know I said like it's tied to our old identity, but you get what I'm saying. We think it's in our identity, but that's our past identity that thinks that. So we're going to write a new one by actually rewriting all of this to build a greater mental state so we could consciously align ourselves mentally with who we want to be in this world and how our life is going to be, because you could actually build your dream life. And I want to be living proof. So I hope that makes sense. So again, I know I kind of just talked about this, but internal alignment processing with intention. So the internal alignment that you need to have when you internally align yourself with who you want to be in this world is really just by processing with intention. So when you have negative emotions come up, negative thoughts, negative emotions, whatever, write down what triggered the emotion. So again, this is kind of an emotional control thing. If you feel a lot of sadness, if you feel anger, why do you feel that certain way? Instead of suppressing it, instead of, emotionally reacting to it and getting in fights, yelling at people, really just understand, why do I feel a certain way? Name the emotion clearly. Identify what is it trying to teach you. Maybe you're super sad throughout the day because you didn't do anything with yourself. And instead of taking that sadness out on someone else, be mature, learn to be emotional controlled, and do the work. Be like, okay, what is it trying to teach me? I'm sad because I haven't worked on myself yet. Okay, why am I not working on myself? Am I unclear of what I need to do? Or do I not know how to start because, maybe my anxiety is taking over? There could be a lot of data and information when you just analyze what you're feeling. Always ask yourself, what can you learn from it as well? You can learn from every single thing in your life, every single emotion, every single negative thought that pops up subconsciously, every single hard time, heartbreak, whatever it is, you could always learn. Emotions are not identity, right? Let's use another example. If you feel super angry with yourself because you seem to not be able to stick to any routine in your personal life to help you actually get healthier and build your dream life, maybe that anger, when you do the work, is tied to you not being able to stick to your routine because it's too overwhelming. Now, since we did that work and we found out that your routine is overwhelming, that's the word that's really tied to it, overwhelming, then how do we make it not overwhelming? We dumb it down. So if you're telling yourself, I'm going to go to the gym, as an example, 6 days a week, I'm going to stick to a new diet, I'm going to do this, X, Y, and Z. It's like, if that's overwhelming and that's making you angry, since we identified the emotion, let's just make it not overwhelming and go to the gym 3 times a week and dumb it down. Add small action items in your life. And once you do that and you actually stick to it, boom, then we broke the anger because we can actually stick to something. So it's all about just identifying why you feel a certain way, working through it and not suppressing it. I'll say it again. I know I said it before, like a couple minutes ago. When you suppress what you feel, you steal the growth that's meant to come from it. Emotions are not identity. They are signals for you to find out why you feel a certain way, and I will always live by that. So I hope that helps. Now, next thing I want to talk about is building emotional discipline. This is something that I was having a problem with, where I would always overwhelm myself to try to be perfect, and then I would have certain emotions based off of me feeling overwhelmed, like fear, sadness, anxiety, even more anxiety about, taking action with a new routine because it was overwhelming, and then I didn't do anything at all. You need to understand, take small action before emotions spiral. Dumb down your routine if it's too overwhelming and you're creating all these emotions based off of it being overwhelming. Dumb it down and just take small action. Action brings the most clarity. Stop telling yourself you're going to stick to a perfect routine because maybe you haven't started that routine because you're overwhelming yourself. You're in control. So just dumb it down. And once you dumb it down and you stick to it, then certain emotions will go away, like fear, or maybe the anxiety that you have about not changing your life because you dumbed it down, your routine, and you could stick to small action items. So now you don't feel anxious about changing your life because you're actually making improvement. Before emotions spiral, just take action. Action eliminates overthinking. Like seriously, I had a problem when I was first wanting to change my life and get in shape. I would tell myself, let's go to the gym 6 days a week. Let's go. Let's just go every single day. And I wouldn't even really want to go because that felt overwhelming. And I was like, wait, hold up. No one's creating this routine for myself. I'm overwhelming myself. And then right when I told myself, okay, let's start by going 3 times a week. That was an emotional relief right there, even by saying it verbally. That was an emotional relief. And then when I went to the gym 3 times a week, it broke even more overthinking and it built back even more self-trust because I was sticking to stuff too. So instead of just overwhelming yourself and having all these emotions spiral up, again, I'll say it again, dumb it down if you feel overwhelmed. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to focus on becoming 1% better every single day. And a lot of your negative thoughts, negative beliefs, and you feeling overwhelmed will be eliminated just if you simplify your routine and you stick to something that's actually realistic to help you build back self-trust. So your subconscious mind understands that you're actually gaining proof and evidence that you can stick to something. Always focus on just becoming 1% better every single day instead of perfection. Again. So now that we talked about doing a lot of like the inner work, I want to talk about as well also implementing actually actions in your life. Because if you do this inner work and you're also implementing actions that help you build back self-trust, your mind is going to be fully rewired and your anxiety is going to be recovered, because anxiety is really just, internal in alignment, and also, you not actually sticking to stuff that you tell yourself you're going to do. But there's, I could go in depth about really what anxiety is and what I think it is and how I change. But in summary, those are just some of the things, So I just really want to have you guys understand that sticking to small action items to help you build self-trust will completely help you rewire your mind and help you rewrite this new identity as well. So again, start small, act in alignment. Who do you want to become? What goals do you want to achieve? And are you acting in alignment every single day? If you're going through a hard time, you could also ask yourself, how would my future self want me to handle this? If I want to become a man who's super emotionally controlled, I feel mentally sound and overall I'm living like a life of freedom, and then a hard time gets put my way, how would I want myself to handle this? Future me. Just think of that. That's a little good reframe that could shape your perspective to just handle certain times differently. But yeah, for the actions that you could stick to, if you really want to get in shape, but you just have anxiety, and you just feel like you can't stay consistent, then add some action items in your life that actually will help you get in shape when doing the action items, but also sticking to the action items help you build back self-trust. It's a win-win. So maybe just prep one good meal for yourself. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to stick to this routine that's super unrealistic. Go on a 10-minute walk if you want to lose some weight. You don't have to go on a 6-mile run or whatever these motivational guys online are telling you. Because again, if you just try to overwhelm yourself to be perfect, you're never going to want to start because your emotions are just spiraling and you're the one overwhelming yourself. You could take back control, seriously. So just stick to small action items. 5 minutes of meditation if you want more emotional control. I meditate every single night. That's drastically helped me stay super present. So now, presence is key, literally, for anxiety, because it's like you're not thinking of the past or the future. You're just present with everything in front of you. So your anxiety really doesn't exist because it's just an internal disalignment, but that's not happening because you're present in front of you. But anyway, I could go, again, on a really deep rant with that. But just some small action items that you can implement in your life that will also really help. But seriously, give your brain some clarity. If you feel super stuck and you haven't been able to stick to like anything, just stick to some small stuff. You need to give your brain that clarity to know that you can actually stick to small action items, and that will slowly help you rebuild your identity. It seriously will, literally. Again, reframe the mistakes and failures as learning lessons so you could subconsciously act in alignment. If you just look at everything as a learning lesson and not as a failure or, oh, I'm still in my old identity. If you just say, I'm improving every single day, your subconscious mind will find proof of that. And then you could just keep acting in alignment for the man that you want to become. So seriously, your mind controls your entire life. That's just something I kind of wanted to write right there. Understanding how to build structure for yourself. Again, this is the mistake that I see so many men make. I used to have a problem when I was dedicated to my career, trying to, start a sales career for business because I was working a corporate job and I wanted more freedom, but I couldn't stay consistent because my anxiety was taking over. The routine that you create for yourself is not created by like random motivation. The routine that you create is firstly created by a foundation of discipline. Obviously, you need discipline as a foundation in your routine for you to be able to stick to it to actually see results in your routine. Now, your discipline is actually created by the thoughts that you choose to give power to, because the thoughts that you choose to give power to every single day dictate your emotional state, and your emotional state influences how you feel, and how you feel dictates what you do, and what you do compounds into your reality. So when you recognize the cycle and you understand that you could have the best routine laid out for yourself, but if you wake up and you believe your negative thoughts, you shift your emotional state right away, and then your nervous system starts running on fear, and then you don't feel good. You don't feel motivated to take action, and your anxiety also has you see all these routines and the productive action items as bad things, as like an alert, because you always think of the worst case scenario, because that's what anxiety does. You're never going to be able to stay consistent. So a compound of thoughts really are your discipline. So your thoughts control your entire life. And once you understand that, you could consciously take back control to align yourself mentally with who you want to be and how strong your discipline is for yourself. You could literally create the discipline that you want when you actually understand that. So again, just consciously act in alignment with every goal you have. Are you asking yourself every single day, did I act in alignment with the man that I wanted to become? Look at the inputs instead of being emotionally attached to the end goal. Stop tying your happiness to the end goal. That's another thing. I could go on a whole subject of just talking about a time in my life when I was anxious back then. I was like, all right, I'm finally going to be happy once I overcome my anxiety. I'm finally going to be happy once I, get in shape and get a six pack and get more jacked and more lean, whatever it is. And then I achieved those goals, and then I wanted something more. And then I told myself, I'm finally going to be happy when I move, and build my dream life. And now I'm in my dream apartment, and I've learned to just be really present with it, because I'm like, all right, I'm not going to say I'm finally going to be happy once, X, Y, and Z happens. No, I'm happy right now. Stop attaching your happiness to an end goal, because it could really just be misalignment. And, the goal for us is to rewire our minds, overcome anxiety, build a life of freedom, but have the byproduct be happiness, peace, just overall build a life of our dreams. So seriously, stop attaching your happiness. You could get yourself in a really deep, dark hole with that, attaching your happiness to materialistic stuff. And just build happiness internally, seriously. And just be grateful for every single day that you're alive. Like, seriously, that's kind of a mindset I've taken on. Always be grateful. But okay, we're getting a little off track. Actually, that's not off track. That's just, off topic a little bit, but always got to speak your mind. So again, during a hard time, really ask yourself, are you acting in alignment or not? When you go through hard situations in your life, is future you, what would you tell yourself to do? Would he say, play the victim because you're going through a hard time? Or would he say, okay, reframe it as a learning lesson? What data and information can we learn? How could we heal ourselves in a correct way, but also take action to help ourselves improve? I believe that like trauma in your life, everyone goes through trauma. There's certain trauma in our lives, but the people who experience trauma worse are the ones who frame it as trauma and not a learning lesson. I'm not saying suppress what you feel. Again, I'm literally, this whole video, I'm saying like, don't suppress what you feel, but I am saying let's frame it differently, because people go through hard shit. That's just life. Everyone's going to do that, but it's how you frame it, and your subconscious will literally just be attached to what you say verbally. Because again, if you just frame it as trauma, and normally people think trauma is a bad thing, then your subconscious mind is going to be like, wait, trauma isn't that good. So your emotional baseline now is going to be a little off, so you don't feel that good. But if you frame trauma as a learning lesson, then learning lesson is more of like a positive thing. So your emotional baseline is going to be a little different. So you get what I'm saying, and you're just going to feel a little bit better just because of the way you framed something. So again, I hope that made sense. And yes, please take this information on. It'll literally change your life. Even though some of the stuff I'm saying may sound like simple, it's life-changing for real. So I just wanted to really kind of go through everything again. Break through anxiety for the rest of your life to actually build freedom. Because if you're working hard for yourself and you know you're making the money that you want, but you can't live your dream life because your anxiety is taking over, understand that, you know, it makes sense because your mind controls your entire life. The thoughts that you specifically choose to give power to dictate your reality and your future reality and your circumstances. Everything starts from the mind. Again, everything. That's literally what I preach because I want to be living proof that I changed my life just by rewiring my mind and overcoming my anxiety. Be so present that nothing from the future or past can control you. Consciously watch the thoughts that you give power to. Think of thoughts like cars passing on a highway. It just keeps going. You don't have to give power to them at all. Give power to the positive ones, and the negative ones subconsciously will come up, but it's just like a highway. Funny concept, but it really helps once you implement that perspective. Reframe your perspective to build a strong emotional state, and your emotional state is your foundation because your emotional state, again, dictates how you feel, and how you feel dictates what you do, and what you do compounds into your reality. Stop suppressing. The growth is meant to come from the hard times. We went super in depth with that, identifying emotions, negative thoughts, etc., all of that. And just again, understand that no one's perfect. No one is perfect, but you can have anxiety fully under control. Just like my clients fully recovered derealization anxiety in weeks, in months, boom, just like that with the right systems, because I went through this trial and error and this really hard time in my life. For like two to 3 years, I was dealing with this anxiety, trying to change my life in all these certain ways. But I seemed to not be able to stay consistent. I was still unfulfilled. Anxiety was controlling my life. I didn't feel comfortable in relationships. I didn't really have many friends because I couldn't really be alone. I didn't want to leave the house. Anxiety is literally killing your life quality. Seriously. And you're not just a man. You're a future father, a future husband, and a future leader. I think I said that in the intro, but I want to implement that in your minds to have you understand that you need to learn how to control yourself so you can live the life that you want to live. It's so possible to build your dream life. I want to be living proof, but guys, I hope this helps. I want to show you guys some client testimonials, so stick for that. But that was the little blueprint, the presentation from my computer. There's a lot more that I can talk about. Again, we're not perfect. I'm trying to stack up all the information I know into kind of like one clear video. There's probably some stuff I'm missing, but you know, text me if you have any questions. Again, I'm in my DMs. I respond to everything. But I hope you guys liked it. Just slideshow from my computer. So let's go. Appreciate that. All right, boom. We are done with that part of the video. Now, I just want to show you guys really quickly 3 of my most recent clients. This is what happens when we actually implement this system into their lives and we have it all custom tailored. This video should literally speak for itself. Genuinely makes me so fulfilled, but watch this. Yeah, I kind of just want to talk about that for a second. Kind of understand, you know, you work hard at your job and what kind of were you experiencing and what made you kind of, you know, reach out to me.
I mean, the biggest thing is, like, I just couldn't sleep at night, man. I just continued. It was 24 hours a day. I was thinking about it, you know. That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
And it was disrupting my sleep entirely. Like, I barely had a life outside of work. But I mean, like, I don't know. I'll just sign off and continue to think about shit. And I work at a company that's pretty, like, high. I would say it's a high pressure environment. But yeah, for somebody of my age, like, it really just, I realized I should not be living my life like this. Like, what am I doing?
And it's kind of like the anxiety is like kind of taking over in a way.
Yeah, it's completely taking over, dude.
Yeah.
Like, during the week, it was just, I was just surviving, brother.
Yeah, it sucks because you're in survival mode. You know, your brain stays alert.
Yeah.
Your brain stays alert because you're operating under like a system with work. But then it's like right when you're out of that, anxiety is like taking over, you know?
Yeah, man.
For sure.
And I'd wake up several times throughout the night. And when I would sleep, it would be very light.
Yeah, dude.
It just wasn't great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's good that you found me. I mean, yeah, I kind of want to talk about also how do you think stuff has been recently? I know you just went to Ibiza, you took that trip, enjoying your life, enjoying the freedom. But yeah, how do you think everything is now?
Dude, a lot better. Like, I can sleep, you know, deep at night. I can sleep a long 7-8 hours, which, dude, for like a year and a half, I cannot get 8 hours of sleep.
A year and a half, yeah, wow, dude, that's good.
Yeah,
I love to hear that.
So I've started to form deeper connections with my friends already, my family. When I am under a stressful situation at work or even in personal life, I can sort of handle it much better now.
Dude, I love that. Yeah. Guys, that video should literally just speak for itself. Genuinely. Nico, great guy, works hard at his company. He was struggling with anxiety, so he couldn't even enjoy the life that he was building for himself. He just went to Ibiza, had a great time. He's only 3 weeks into the program. It's actually crazy. These other two guys I'm about to show you, they finished the program, but I think I said I'm going to show you 3 of my past clients. This guy I actually just wanted to show because he's only 3 weeks in. 3 weeks in, I'm still working with him. So we're on the 4th week. And it just makes me so fulfilled when that video should speak for itself. It's truly amazing. Seriously. And now we got my guy, Jonathan. Yeah. Now I just want to ask, what do you think, what would you tell the people who are on the fence of working with me?
I would say working with you is really great for one's personal growth, because I've learned a lot things, for me at least, that really helped me in every aspect of my life.
Dude, that's great.
Yeah.
Guys, just like that, Jonathan as well. I remember when Jonathan came to me, it was about 6 months ago, and he was really dealing with bad anxiety, where it kind of felt like derealization for him. He wanted to change his life. He kept trying to change his habits. You know, he works a job, and he was like, he goes to his job, but he feels like he's living on autopilot. Like he can just operate at his job. And when he tries to change his life and his personal life, he kept telling me that he was just running on fear, and he always would think of the worst case scenario. So he didn't want to start to change his life because his anxiety was controlling everything. And that led like Jonathan down a dark time. And he was like, hey, how do I change? How do I stop letting my subconscious mind pull me back to my old habits? So again, proof right there. When you implement the right systems and align yourself mentally with who you want to be in this world, that's when it could all change. And now we got my client, Laith. Laith had a crazy transformation. You'll just see the video speaks for itself.
I cut around like 30 pounds.
Dude, yeah, that's insane.
Like following your advice and shit.
Dude, that's crazy.
And it really took me to the next level.
Dude, the amount of progress I've seen from you, dude, is crazy though. Can you see that though? Like how much, bro?
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Dude, that's so
like,
sweet.
Totally, bro. I feel like hella more confident. Like ever since I started with you, like mentally, I've been getting so much damn better.
Guys, 30 pounds. 30 pounds cut just from consciously aligning yourself mentally with who you want to be physically. And your mind stops pulling you back to your old habits. You overcome your negative thoughts, so consistency becomes a byproduct. You actually have your anxiety under control, so you don't wake up with all this fear, and your perspective on this world isn't, horrible. So your mind goes down loopholes of you just always being anxious. No, we cut that out. We implemented systems for Laith, and these are the results that you get. Like, these videos should speak for itself, and it genuinely makes me so passionate. 2 to 3 years ago when I was depressed and anxious and I was living a life of derealization, I felt like I was a slave to my job, living on autopilot. And I just saw this world as such a negative place because my mind was just keeping me trapped, and I would create certain emotions based off of what I believed in my mind, but it was just all made up stories of like anxiety. It was just so much, just like I talked about in the beginning. I don't have words. It brings me so much fulfillment when I see my clients winning like this, and I turn this into a passion. So I really appreciate you guys if you've made it this far to this video, just really understanding why I do what I do. And yeah, words can't really describe it. It's crazy. I'm blessed. And guys, that is the end of this video. I really genuinely appreciate it. Again, if you stuck around for this long. My Instagram is going to be Curran_Pardo. That's where you're going to find me. I'm super active on my Instagram. You could shoot me a DM. I'll respond with a voice message. I want to give as much value away as possible. And of course, I do offer coaching. So if you want, talk to me in my DMs. I'll personally respond, understand your situation a little more. Or if you want, you could just book a call directly with me under my Calendly link in the description of this YouTube video right here. And yeah, seriously, again, appreciate you guys. This is why I do what I do. Subscribe for more free value. I'm always going to post value. I'm here to build the most real and authentic brand that I can. And stick around because this is where I'm going with it. And I'm going to change a lot of lives. And I have already, but I'm just doing more because this is my passion. And yeah, if you want to work with me again, follow my Instagram. I'm super personal on there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Appreciate all of you.